ওয়েলকাম টু মাই ইউটিউব চ্যানেল। আশা করি তোমরা সবাই ভালো আছো। আজকে আমি তোমাদের অফ স্টাডিজ ফ্রান্সিস বেকনের লেখা, সেখান থেকে আমি তোমাদের কিছু ইম্পর্টেন্ট 2 এবং 6 মার্কসের কোশ্চেন অ্যান্সার আলোচনা করে দিচ্ছি। চ্যানেলে যারা নতুন, চ্যানেলটা সাবস্ক্রাইব করে রাখো, আর ভিডিওটা ভালো লাগলে লাইক এবং বন্ধুদের শেয়ার করে দিও। তাহলে বন্ধুরা আরম্ভ করে দিচ্ছি। আমার ফার্স্ট কোশ্চেন, হোয়াট ইজ মিন্ড বাই স্টাডিজ সার্চ ফর অ্যাবিলিটি? Studies improve a person's knowledge and skill in handling practical issues, giving countless counsels, decision making, and judging situation in daily life. This is how, according to Bacon, studies search for ability. Next question, what does Bacon mean by expression "some books are to be tested"? By the expression "some books are to be tested," Bacon means to say that there are some books which are not to be read from the beginning to the end. They are to be read in parts. What are distilled books? What has been compared to distilled books? Distilled books are books containing only fact and information and no interpretation. These are free from the contamination of thought and ideas. Distilled water, meaning pure water, has been compared to distilled books. What roles do studies and experience play in shaping human nature? Studies contribute to the development of knowledge and skill, while experience moderates bookish knowledge to the highest degree of perfection. How was studies perfected? According to Bacon, studies are perfectly by experience. Experience is required for moderating studies. What do you mean by craftyman? How do they look upon studies? The experienced craftyman means wicked of deceitful person. Craftyman condemn studies because studies help others to identify their devious design. What sort of books is to be swallowed? According to Bacon, those books which are not read curiously are to be swallowed. These books are read extensively to get general understanding of them. What does Bacon say? Reading maketh a full man. Human beings are born with some of inherited abilities. These are improved and sharpened by reading. Reading makes a person complete by developing and perfecting their natural abilities in the right direction. That is why Bacon says that reading maketh a full man. What mental defect can be cured by studying mathematics? According to Bacon, the studies mathematics effective in stabilizing. Wondering with it develops concentration. Thus, it prevents the destruction of mind. Why does Bacon say every defect of the mind may have special receipt? According to Bacon, every ailment of the mind has its own remedy. It can be cured by choosing the study that act as remedy for the particular mental defect. Who needs to have a great memory? A person who writes a little needs to have great memory to compensate for its her shortcoming in reading. What is the benefit of shooting? In the option of Bacon, shooting is good for the lungs and breast. What is the impact of history of human life? History, as Bacon says, makes a person wise by proving records of the past event. It teaches lesson to the present. What is the schoolman? Whom can the studies of the schoolman help? The Schoolmen are the books written by medieval scholars skilled in academic disputation. If, if a person cannot distinguish between two things, the study of the Schoolmen may have effective. Who needs to have a parents with? A person who talks little must have a parents present with to face other to conference or discussion. What is the utility of bowling? According to Bacon, bowling is good for the kidney and bladder. এরপর আসছি তোমাদের কিছু 6 মার্কসের কোশ্চেন অ্যান্সারে। What are warning that Bacon gives us in the essay of studies? Francis Bacon in his essay of studies warns the readers against various aspects of studies. He thinks that spending too much time on studies is sloth, a mark of idleness and self-indulgence. Every leader should maintain a balance between reading and doing other jobs. Then he passes on to the decorative value of studies and advise us not beautify our discourse, either spoken or written, with ornaments of reference. Excessive use of bookish knowledge to impress other makes our language artificial and less convincing. He calls that habit affection. Similarly, judging everything by applying bookish knowledge and rules may sound scholarly, but in reality, it is comic display of scholarship. In fact, Bacon puts a limit on the amount of time that studies should be given and the function they serve. Additionally, he advised against accepting things blindly from what is print and reading just to refute the option that are stated there. Analyzing and evaluating any text is the proper goal of reading. এরপরে যাচ্ছি নেক্সট কোশ্চেনে 18-এ। What is illustration? How does Bacon use illustration in the concluding part of the essay? Illustration is the art of giving example to explain or prove something. In essays, illustration helps an author to explain an ideas in concrete terms. Next, in the concluding part of the essay, Bacon uses illustration to justify his argument that defect of the mind can be cured by appropriate studies in the same way as diseases of the body can be cured of physical exercise. The analogy he draws between physical exercise and studies has been explained with example. According to him, bowling is good for the kidney, shooting for the lungs and breast, gentle walking for the stomach, and reading for the head. Similarly, mathematics may serve as a remedy for wandering with, the Schoolmen for teaching how to distinguish between two things, and lawyers' case for ready reference and illustration to prove something. Thus, Bacon uses illustration to justify his analogy. What are the basic language skills that Bacon deals with the comparison and contrast. Except of listening, Bacon deals with three basic language skills in the essay: reading, speaking, and writing. A larger part of the essay devoted to realizing the importance of reading in life, while he makes comparative studies on the importance of the three. He argues that reading makes a man complete. A person achieves that virtue, completeness, by reading books judiciously. Reading is essential for shaping natural abilities and skill. It makes one fit for the world. Conference, on the other hand, makes a person fully prepared for all seasons. It is help in developing competency competency for speaking. Writing, considered to be the most important skill for learners. Bacon rightly says that writing makes an exact man. Writing writing involves assimilation of ideas, choice of appropriate word, accuracy in spelling and grammar, and artistic presentation. A lot of practice is required to achieve the dignity of the writer. Writing a contrast to the two other skills makes a person proficient, precise, and perfect. Next question যাচ্ছি। How does Bacon categorize people on the basis of the attitude of studies? In the essay of Studies, Francis Bacon categorized people on the basis of the practical knowledge and observation. Bacon classified the whole population into three types of the basis of their attitude to studies. He argues that weak people oppose studies. They criticize and condemn studies in conceal their deceitful, natural, and devious design. Apparently, they condemn studies on moral ground, but they actually have a clever intention. On the other hand, ordinary people show admiration for studies and learn people similar simply because of their weakness for studies and shortcomings in learning. Only the wise know how to make use of knowledge and skill gained through studies. They use studies in practical life. Studies improve their ability to observe and judge everything in the light of their knowledge and experience. Their deeper understanding helps them in counseling, decision making, and problem solving. That do not the indulge in teaching how of to use studies, nor do they make a show of the wisdom. Who is the expert? What can an expert do? How can we distinguish between an expert and learned person? An expert is a person with special knowledge, skill, or training in a particular field. An expert can execute a specific task and judge particulars one by one. An expert is available to employ specific knowledge and skill in performing a job. A learned person offers from an expert in terms of general knowledge and abilities. The learned acquire a lot of knowledge by study. Although an expert can perform a specific task skillfully, the learned are good at counseling in general, designing a plan of action, monitoring, decision making, and problem solving. আচ্ছা বন্ধুরা, আশা করি তোমরা আজকের কোশ্চেন অ্যান্সার বুঝতে পেরেছো। চ্যানেলের সঙ্গে যুক্ত থাকো। নেক্সট ভিডিওতে আমি তোমাদের আরও কিছু ইম্পর্টেন্ট কোশ্চেন আলোচনা করে দেবো। প্রোস থেকে যেটা তোমাদের আছে সেখান থেকে আরও কিছু ইম্পর্টেন্ট আলোচনা করবো, যেটা জিমি ব্যালেন্সন যেটা আছে সেখান থেকে আলোচনা করে দেবো। ভিডিওটা ভালো লাগলে লাইক এবং বন্ধুদের শেয়ার করে দিও। আচ্ছা বন্ধুরা, ভালো থেকো।